Is the plaintiff ready to proceed?
Yes, we are, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready?
Yes, we are, Your Honor.
Very well. I would ask one of counsel for the plaintiff to introduce your team to the jury, who will act as scorers.
My name is Josh Adams, and I am doing a direct of Lynn Garcia, a cross-examination of Dale Rockford, and a closing statement.
Very well. And next, please.
I'm Rachel Marston. I will be delivering an opening statement, a direct of Kelly Anderson, and a cross of Jamie Hager.
And next, please.
I am Brandy Doherty, and I will be doing a direct examination of Cody Simpson and a cross-examination of Ryan Brady, and we will allow our witnesses to introduce themselves.
Very good.
I'm Johnny Wilsey, and I am Kelly Anderson.
I'm Gavin Sheeman-Smith, and I am Cody Simpson.
My name is Daniel Singh, and I am Lynn Garcia.
Very well. And could the defense team also introduce yourselves and your witnesses?
I'm Caitlin Hedinger, and I will be doing the opening, the direct on Jamie Hagar, and the cross on Lynn Garcia.
I am Bailey Lavering. I am an attorney, and I will be doing direct for Ryan and cross for Kelly.
Very good.
I am Mary Gray, and I will be doing direct questions for Coach Rockford and cross-examining Cody Simpson, and I will be also delivering the closing. We will allow our witnesses to introduce themselves.
Very good.
I'm Ben Miller. I'll be Dale Rockford.
I'm Jamie Cody. I'll be Ryan Brady. I'm Alexis Arnold, and I'll be Jamie Hagar.
Very good. Thank you. And I'm going to ask our panel members to introduce themselves because we won't have a critique after this round, so you won't probably be chatting with them. So could we begin with, I've forgotten your first name, the gentleman on the end. I know you work in the U.S. Attorney's Office, though.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Thomas Schott. I work in the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shauna Heron. I'm an attorney with the Wyoming Attorney General's Office.
I'm Doug Bailey, and I work at Bailey, Stock, and Harmon.
I'm Wendy Ross, and I also work at the Wyoming Attorney General's Office.
Very well. And I need to make, oh, I'm sorry, I missed you. Got ahead of myself there. Please go ahead.
My name is Jenny Webner, and I am the Justice Studies Program Director at Hardin County Community College. And Justice Davis, we are lacking a couple of thank you.
That's our next step. Mr. Powers, would you please be so kind as to provide the score sheets? And I see they have instructions for scoring. I don't know if the scorers already have those or not. All right, and we have, I have the plaintiff team sheet that actually lays out who's doing what. Do we have a similar document for the defense? Okay, we may have to.
Yes. Oh, I was thinking what that is.
What is this?
I don't know.
These are not our names. That's their.
Okay. Well, if you don't, that's okay. We'll just check with you as we go along. And, all right. All right, thank you. That's fine. And I guess you probably don't have this document. Are you confident you know who everybody is, scorers, so that we don't get confused?
Your Honor, if I may, I would like to hand out the rosters for the plaintiff's side.
Oh, okay. The scorers don't have the rosters yet, so you may approach the jury and deliver those. Any questions from the defense? Or any further questions from the plaintiff?
No, Your Honor.
Very well. Then at this point in time, we are ready for the plaintiff's opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And it's Ms. Marston.
Yes.
All right, very good.
May it please the court?
Ms. Marston?
Counsel? We are here today because of the death of Jordan Anderson. This was due to the negligence of Coach Dale Rockford, the faulty zero-tolerance drug policy at Carter County High School. Jordan Anderson died of a steroid drug overdose, but this could have been prevented. Jordan Anderson came from humble beginnings. His mother, Kelly Anderson, whom I am representing, who's over here. He came from a teen pregnancy. She was only 16 when she had him, and her husband, Chris Anderson, died when Jordan was only 2 years old. This left her the sole supporter for her family. This means she had to work 2, sometimes 3 jobs. The only time she got to see Jordan was on their morning runs. She noticed immediately that that Jordan had athleticism, much like she and her husband did. When Jordan got into middle school, she noticed that, much like a lot of the coaches noticed, that he was a very talented track runner. One in particular, Coach Dale Rockford, pushed for him to join the Carter County High School track team when he became old enough. When he joined high school, he immediately joined the track team, much of Dale Rockford's suggestion. Here's where he met his best friend, Cody Simpson. Jordan ran better than Cody, but this didn't hinder their friendship more than strengthen it. They ran together and developed a very deep friendship. They hung out, they worked out together, they knew each other very well. In Jordan's senior year, things began to change. Money was still tight, Kelly still worked 3 jobs, and things were rough. Jordan had a lot of responsibilities at home and stress was high. There wasn't a lot of money around. There was a trust fund left behind by Jordan's father, Chris, but this was only $50,000. Kelly suspected that Jordan would use this money to go to college, but that still wasn't enough to provide him for a really good college. So she pushed him to do better in track for a track scholarship, and so did Dale Rockford. But everyone noticed when he began to draw away. He got back acne, he looked jaundiced, and he began to get a lot of mood swings, and he was sick all of the time. Kelly wasn't the only one who noticed. So did his best friend, Cody. And so did Coach Rockford. The only difference is Coach Rockford was the only one with the education and with the knowledge to know that these are symptoms of steroid overdose. Kelly Anderson only has a high school graduate. She is only a high school graduate. She should not be suspected to know these symptoms. Carter County High School has a zero-tolerance drug policy, but this only extends to their students. They offer no educational uses to the parents. Only their students are educated on the drug policy. Their coaches are required to go to an annual drug and health administration classes where they learn about the symptoms of steroids and other illegal drugs. Coach Rockford is required to go to these and is knowledgeable on these. He has been a coach for 27 years, a teacher for 27 years, and a coach for 15. He is expected to know these things. Where there's smoke, there's fire. There are several times at track practice where they had to stop because Jordan wasn't feeling well and he looked jaundiced. Jordan begged the coach not to tell Kelly, his mother, about these episodes. Coach Rockford saw the smoke, but he turned his back when the fire started. Cody Simpson noticed these symptoms too. He noticed Jordan was sick all the time and had back acne and was drawing away from him. They didn't hang out as much. He was so concerned, he went and talked to Coach Rockford about it. But Coach Rockford said, well, did you see Jordan using the steroids or talk to him about it? Cody said no, but he trusted Coach Rockford and said that he was still concerned about him. Coach Rockford said he couldn't do anything. His hands were tied. But besides, look at Jordan's times. They were getting so good. Coach Rockford had the education, but he turned his back on him. Because of this, Jordan Anderson died from a drug overdose of steroids on the morning of May 6, 2012. And the following day, Cody Simpson quit track because he no longer could trust his coach who killed his best friend. Nothing further.
Thank you, Ms. Marston. Defense's opening statement, please. And could you state your name again? There were so many, and my brain's slower as I get older.
Caitlin Hedinger.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Hedinger.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the death of Jordan Anderson is a tragedy, but are we going to compound tragedy by unfairly blaming another? Are we going to destroy a coach's career out of a spirit of vengeance? Is this how we're going to respond to tragedy? To look for a scapegoat? Kelly Anderson is here to tell you that Coach Rockford is responsible for Jordan's death. Don't believe it. How can somebody be held accountable for a crime they knew nothing about? Could Coach Rockford have prevented this tragedy? Maybe, if the coach had known. Maybe not, but we'll never know. We feel for the plaintiff, we really do. Losing a child is the worst sort of tragedy. But when you look at this case, don't look at the emotions, look at the facts. Coach Rockford lectured his athletes on the dangers of drugs. The coach told the athletes that performance-enhancing substances were not necessary and were in fact caused to be released from the team. The coach preached the benefits of the right training and the right exercise, but denounced drugs. Sure, the coach yelled and drove and berated his athletes. That's what a coach does. Any coach that doesn't do that isn't much of a coach. Who is responsible for Jordan's steroid use? Well, the obvious answer is Jordan. Jordan chose to use them, Jordan bought them, and Jordan injected them. But because Jordan is a minor, his parents are trying to find the coach responsible. But the evidence will show a few interesting points. Track athletes spend probably 15 hours a week with the coach during the 3 months of the track season. Anybody who has ever seen a track practice, or any practice for that matter, knows that the coach is going a dozen different directions at once, and expecting him to give Jordan all of his attention is unreasonable. He had dozens of athletes to keep an eye on. But what about Kelly Anderson? Are we going to tell the world that the coach had more responsibility for Jordan than Jordan's own mother? Where does parental responsibility end? The evidence will show that Kelly Anderson knew Jordan was spending the trust fund at an alarming rate with no material possessions to show for it. Kelly Anderson knew that Jordan was becoming more irate, missing more school, becoming sick more often, and displaying symptoms that indicated steroid abuse. It is a parent's duty to know what their child is doing. Coach Rockford has dozens of kids to supervise for just a few hours a day, just a few months a year. Kelly Anderson had one kid to supervise for an entire lifetime. But she didn't do a very good job, and now she wants to blame the school. And that's sadly typical in our modern age. Parents don't want to be parents anymore. They want to be the kid's friend. And when something goes wrong, they want to blame the school. We cannot allow this pattern to continue. We need to place the blame where the blame belongs, on an absent parent who did not do a parent's job. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hettinger. A couple of housekeeping things before we begin with presentation of the evidence. Exhibits 3 and 4 are stipulated, and they are hereby received in evidence. And I want to administer the oath to all of those who are going to testify at once. So would you please rise and raise your right hand? And if you agree with the oath that I'm about to give you, please say, "I do" or "I will," after I finish reading it to you. Do you promise that the testimony you're about to give will faithfully and truthfully conform to the facts and rules of the mock trial competition? I do. Very well, thank you. You may be seated. Plaintiff may call its first witness.
The plaintiffs call Kelly Anderson to the stand.
Very well, Ms. Anderson, you've been sworn, and you may come to the witness stand to my right. Ms. Marston?
Good afternoon, Miss Anderson. Could you please state your name for the jury?
Hi, I'm Kelly Anderson.
Are you on any medication today?
Yes, I am.
Are they going to affect your testimony?
No.
And why is that?
They're holding me together today to be able to testify.
What was your relationship to Jordan Anderson?
He was my son.
Can you tell the jury the circumstances of his birth?
Yeah. I had Jordan when I was 16 years old. It was my husband, Chris, and I, high school sweethearts. I found out that we were pregnant and decided to get married and try to raise our little family together right after high school.
Can you tell us a little more about Jordan's father?
Chris Anderson and I met in high school, got married, and he only lived to be around for Jordan until shortly after Jordan turned 2. Chris had a hole in his heart that went unsuspected, unknown for his whole life until one day he went out for a run and didn't come back.
When Chris died, did he leave any provisions for Jordan?
Yes, he did.
What were those?
Chris left Jordan. Chris had a life insurance policy, and so Jordan got $50,000 in the form of a trust fund after his death.
Could Jordan access this trust fund?
Not until he was 16, no.
So this meant that, so were you the sole supporter for the family?
Yes, I was.
How did you support the family?
I worked 2-3 jobs.
How often did you get to see Jordan?
Not very often. We made it kind of a point to go on runs together in the morning.
So what was his running career like before high school?
He he started to run basically as soon as he could walk. He showed a passion for running early on, and a lot of people noticed, not just a proud mom.
Well, who else noticed?
A lot of track people, track coaches, and things like that.
Anyone in particular?
Yes, Dale Rockford seemed to make a particular impression on my son.
Did Jordan plan to join the track team in high school?
Yes, he did.
Are there any scholarships in track?
Yes, there are.
What did college prospects look like for Jordan?
With just our situation, not very good. Just the money was just too tight. But if Jordan could do well in track and get some sort of scholarship and get money that way, it looked like we were going to be able to send him to a decent college, as well as if he could use the money that his father had left for him as well.
Did Jordan seem different his senior year?
Yes, he did.
In what ways?
Jordan became very hostile, I guess is a good word, towards me, and it didn't seem like it took a lot to push him kind of over the edge emotionally anymore. He seemed to be a lot more sick, and I mean, I now realize what these signs were, but that's how he had changed.
Can you tell the jury if there were any physical changes?
Yeah, like I said, he got sick. He did seem like he had a yellow pigmentation of the skin and like whites of the eyes, which I guess is jaundice, as well as some higher levels of acne than normally.
What did you believe these new symptoms and behavioral traits were the cause of?
I guess I just chalked it up to adolescence. It was Jordan's senior year, and there was pressure from all angles, and a lot of pressure from me. And there was, the trying to get a scholarship and helping me out with the things that I couldn't do because I was working so much, and school. I mean, Jordan was always a good student, so stress and adolescence can do those things.
During his senior year, did you plan to get him a graduation present?
Yes, I did.
Did Jordan know about it?
No, he didn't.
What was it?
I was gonna get Jordan a car.
Was he going to have any financial means to pay for the car in any way?
He was gonna have to cover the insurance, but I figured that he could use the money that his father had left him since he had access to it then.
Permission to approach the witness in order to introduce an exhibit?
Permission granted.
I've just handed you an exhibit marked Exhibit 9. Can you please describe it to me?
Yeah, it's the withdrawal slips from the bank at which Jordan's trust fund was at.
When you went to the bank and found these withdrawal slips, how did you react?
I was shocked, and then shortly after that came the fury. I was furious. I was so mad. I couldn't believe. I thought that it was. I didn't believe it at first. I guess I still don't.
I move to admit Exhibit 9 into evidence.
Any objection? Exhibit 9 is received.
So according to Exhibit 9, how much money did Jordan take out of the account total?
Over $25,000.
So that's over half the account.
Yes, it is.
What did you do after finding this out?
I went to Jordan's track practice to confront him as soon as possible.
Who all was there?
The track team and Jordan and Mr. Rockford.
Do you remember what Jordan said to you when you confronted him?
Yes, it was something along the lines of, you all know where the money is going. How am I getting so good? Not by doing the dishes, not by doing the laundry. And then you might as well buy it for me, if I'm not mistaken.
And was he just talking to you?
No.
Who else was he talking to?
I believe he's talking to Coach Rockford as well.
What did Coach Rockford say after that statement?
He turned to me and said that he would take care of it.
Did Coach Rockford ever take care of it?
Not that I know of.
Permission to approach the witness in order to introduce another exhibit.
Permission granted.
I've just handed you an exhibit marked Exhibit 3. Can you please describe it to me?
Yeah, it's the Wyoming Child Fatality Review Data Form.
I know this is hard for you, so you can take your time. Can you tell me what it says about the cause of death for your son?
Yes, it says Jordan died of a heart attack.
What was the heart attack a consequence of?
A steroid overdose.
Permission to approach the witness with tissues.
You may.
Do you think Jordan's death could have been prevented?
Yes, I do.
How so?
If the people whose jobs it is to see symptoms and act did their jobs.
Nothing further.
Thank you, Ms. Marston. Cross-examination.
Yes, please.
Could I ask you to tell us your name again so I make sure I keep everybody straight?
Haley Lavering.
Lavering?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Lavering, you may examine.
Okay. Are you Jordan's legal guardian?
I was, yes.
So, as his mother, and since he was a minor, you were legally responsible for him, correct?
Yes, I was.
Did you spend a lot of time with Jordan?
No.
Did you spend a lot of time with him in high school?
Not in particular, no.
Did you promise to go running with Jordan a lot in high school?
Yeah, we made it a point to go on runs together.
Did you ever follow through with those promises?
I believe so, yeah. I think we went on morning runs as much as we could and used it as a time to bond since I worked so much.
Could you tell me the terms of the $50,000 trust fund?
I was the trustee. I controlled it until Jordan had access to it at 16.
Could you access it?
Before he was 16? Yes, I could.
Is it unusual for a child of 16 to have access to a trust? I mean, don't usually trusts require the trustee to be at least 21 years of age?
I am not sure what you're asking.
Let me rephrase it. So, on most standards, if a person has a trust fund, the requirement age is 21 years old. Why could he have access to it when he was 16?
Objection, Your Honor. This is a mother. She has no reason to know anything about banking.
Your response?
Withdrawn.
Very well.
Did Jordan ever ask you about the trust fund?
I believe so, yes.
Did you ask him why he wanted to know?
I don't think so, no, I didn't.
Just for clarification, when did you check the trust? After he turned 16?
Are you looking for a date?
Yes, please.
I don't remember.
When you checked the trust fund, what was the balance, for clarification?
Over half the money was gone, so less than $25,000.
Okay. And permission to approach the witness?
Granted?
It's going to review Exhibit 9.
Very well.
Could you read off the dates on this, please?
The date on the first withdrawal slip is December 17th, 2011. The date on the second withdrawal slip is February 11th, 2012. And the date on the third withdrawal slip is 13/18/12.
Okay, thank you. So, the withdrawals were made in December 2011, February 2012, and March 2012. And Jordan could have accessed the trust when he turned 16 in October 2010. And you didn't check it until April 2012, a year and a half after he gained access, correct?
Correct.
So, Jordan blew through half the trust in about 18 months. That's about $1,400 a month, correct?
Objection, that was a compound question.
Your response?
No, it was not.
Okay. Why don't you try it again, and we'll ask your question again. If it feels like it's got two parts, try one at a time.
Okay. So, Jordan blew through half the trust in around 18 months, correct?
Yeah, that's what these papers are saying.
And that's about $1,400 a month, correct?
I'm not a mathematician, but I guess, yes.
For clarification, what did you do after checking the balance in April 2012?
As I previously stated, went to Jordan's track practice.
Okay. Did you ask Jordan directly and insist on an answer?
Yes, I did.
When you got home, did you two talk?
No, we did not.
How long did he refuse to speak with you?
I believe it was a few weeks.
Okay. Did you notice Jordan showing any signs of illness?
Yeah, he seemed to be sick a lot.
So, when he started getting sick, did you ask him about it?
I believe there was a discussion about a doctor's visit, but we never got the chance to follow through with it.
May I ask why you didn't take him to the doctor?
I don't remember.
Okay. You expected the coach to notice the symptoms. Do you live at your home?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So you should have noticed the symptoms, correct? Objection argumentative.
Your response?
I'm just asking if she saw or noticed any of the symptoms.
I'll overrule the objection. You may answer.
Can you restate the question, please?
Did you just notice any symptoms of steroid use or just any kinds of illness?
I noticed a change in my son, and I didn't have any reason to believe that there was any sort of link to steroids.
Okay, thank you. And you, not Rockford or the school, chose to take Jordan to the doctor, correct?
No, I didn't take Jordan to the doctor.
You said in your affidavit that the coach should have noticed the steroid symptoms, even though you didn't. Wouldn't a doctor be able to notice the symptoms?
I think everybody could have noticed the symptoms, but maybe a doctor could have been able to give us a cause of them.
So if you had taken Jordan to the doctor, whether he wanted to go or not, the doctor might have noticed his symptoms and treated him, and Jordan might still be with us, correct?
Yeah, maybe.
When you questioned Jordan about the missing $25,000 and Coach Rockford told you that he would handle it, why did you allow Coach Rockford to handle such a vital situation with your son?
I mean, Coach Rockford has been a part of our lives for a long time, and I trusted him. My son trusted him. When he looked me in the eye and said he would take care of it, I had absolutely no reason to believe that he wouldn't.
Okay, thank you. But Coach Rockford isn't Jordan's parent. You are. Isn't that your job?
Objection argumentative. Half of that was a statement.
Your response?
I'm just asking if it is her job as a parent to take care of a situation this vital with her son.
I'll allow that question. I think the other one was a little argumentative. So you may answer that last question, Ms. Anderson.
I think my job as a parent I think my job as the parent of Jordan is to take care of Jordan, or was to take care of Jordan to the best of my ability and the best of my knowledge, and I did that.
Thank you. Why did you allow your son not to talk to you for 2 weeks?
I'm gone all the time. Jordan is at school. Jordan was at practice. There was hardly any time for us to talk, and I have been, there's been arguments between the two of us before. Obviously, as a son and mother, I figured a time to cool down, as well as just a lack of a chance to.
Okay. Were you at home when the school called you on May 6, 2012?
No, it was not.
Where were you?
I was at work.
So, you went to work before you made sure that Jordan was even awake for school, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, you hardly ever interacted with your son. You went to work before he went to school, and you allowed him not to talk to you for 2 weeks, correct?
Objection speculation.
I am simply just stating facts that she has already said into one question.
So it's probably been asked and answered, but I think it is compound. If you can break that down, you can certainly go over that again if you wish.
Just withdrawn. Do you feel like you bared any responsibility in Jordan's death?
I'm not entirely sure how to answer that.
Okay. No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Levering. Redirect, Ms. Anderson.
Yes, please, Your Honor.
Miss Anderson, when you saw your son and when you talked to your son, what was that like?
When?
On your morning runs?
Oh, I mean, we always had positive interactions with each other. I mean, he was my son. He was my only son.
Did Carter County High School ever give you any information about drug use?
No,
So you never had any idea about the use of steroids?
no. I didn't know what it looked like.
Nothing further.
Thank you, Ms. Marston. I see the rules this year allow recross. Is there any recross?
Can we have 1 second?
You may.
So, you stated in your affidavit that anybody could have noticed the sign of steroid symptoms. Why couldn't the coach?
Objection, you can't bring affidavit into here. This is misuse of the affidavit.
I think it is, and I think it's also beyond the scope of the redirect. I don't recall that question being asked.
Okay.
So I'll sustain the objection. Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Anderson. You may step down. Plaintiff's next witness, please.
Your Honor, the plaintiffs would like to call Lynn Garcia to the stand.
All right. Mr. Garcia, you've already been sworn, so please ascend to the witness stand to my right.
Good afternoon, Mr. Garcia. Can you introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Lynn Garcia.
Can you give us a little information on your educational background?
I've received a Bachelor of Science in Physical Education. I've also received a Master in Exercise Physiology and a PhD in Exercise Physiology.
Have you ever written any papers on this work?
Yes, I have.
What is that paper?
It's called Juice Isn't Just for Breakfast Anymore.
What occupation did you go into with these degrees?
I went into the Human Performance Laboratory and the Department of Kinesiology in the University of Austin, Texas.
What's your position at the institute?
I'm currently the director.
And this is your current position?
Yes.
What occupation did you have before going into the institute?
Before my current position, I was a high school PE teacher and a track coach.
What made you decide to change careers?
Well, simply put, my nephew died.
How did your nephew die?
My nephew, Scott, he died of a steroid overdose.
Does this death affect your opinion given here today?
No, it doesn't.
You've been called upon today to give your opinions, haven't you?
Yes.
And you've read all the affidavits in the case of Kelly versus Rockford?
Yes.
What are these opinions that you've been called to give?
My opinions are that the current standards set forth by Carter County High School are insufficient and irresponsible in detecting the presence of steroids in a student's life, that the current way that Carter County High School tries to deter drug use, in particular steroids, is completely insufficient, and that Dale Rockford and Carter County High School are responsible for the death of Jordan Anderson.
All right, let's talk about your first opinion. What does Carter County currently have in place for their steroid use policy?
Currently, Carter County High School has a 3-strike policy. With the first strike, you are removed from the activity. in particular athletic events, you are not allowed to participate in the next event, but you're allowed to participate in practices. In the second strike, you are suspended from the activity for 8 weeks, and that can be shortened to 3 to 5 weeks, depending if you comply to meet with the student counselor. And the third strike is complete removal from the activity.
What's their policy for teachers on steroid abuse?
If a teacher suspects or is found supporting the use of any types of drugs, then, or in particular performance-enhancing drugs, then that teacher will be put on administrative leave.
In your opinion, why is this insufficient?
Well, there are only consequences if you're found 100% using the steroids. There's nothing, there's no policies to find out if there are kids using performance-enhancing drugs.
What more do you believe they should do?
I believe that a testing program would be the next logical step.
In your professional opinion, what is the main purpose of these tests?
Well, the obvious purpose of a drug test is to find out if a student is using drugs, but behind that, students are less likely to use the drugs simply because there's a chance they'd get caught, and I refer to that as the deterrent effect.
All right, let's change gears a little bit. You stated that you were a track coach at your high school, correct?
Yes.
As track coach, do you believe that athletes are put under a lot of pressure?
Yes, in order to succeed, a lot of pressure is there.
Does this pressure put the student in a vulnerable state of mind?
Yes, it does.
And who do the athletes turn to for guidance when they're in this state of mind?
Well, because these problems or the stress that they're under is because of their athletic situation. They go to the person that leads them in their athletic career, and that would be their coaches.
Are you aware of the symptoms that Jordan was exhibiting through steroid use?
Yes, I am.
What were these symptoms?
These symptoms include acne, mood swings, jaundice.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm handing you what's been marked as Exhibit 15. Can you tell us a little bit about what Exhibit 15 is?
Exhibit 15 is a printout called Drug Facts and about anabolic steroids, and it is by the National Institute of Drug Abuse under the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
In your job, do you regularly recall on these exhibits to base your opinion from?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to move for the admission of Exhibit 15.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Without objection, Exhibit 15 is received.
All right. If I may turn your attention, Mr. Garcia, to the second page, the second column, where it says, what are the other health effects of anabolic steroids? Could you read that paragraph aloud to the jury?
The paragraph states, steroid abuse may lead to serious, even irreversible health problems. Some of the most dangerous consequences that have been linked to steroid abuse include kidney impairment or failure, damage to the liver, and cardiovascular problems, including enlargement of the heart, blood pressure, and changes in blood cholesterol, leading to an increased risk of stroke and heart attack, even in young people.
And these were symptoms that were displayed in Jordan Anderson, correct?
Yes.
In your opinion, do you believe these symptoms would be easy to spot if you were educated in the matter?
Absolutely.
What if you were not educated in the matter?
Well, a lot of these symptoms, they look like anything else that could be happening. Jaundice from being dehydrated, acne, and mood swings simply from being a teenager.
But someone who has taught PE and health should be able to recognize these symptoms?
Yes.
No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Cross-examination. Ms. Hedinger.
You mentioned your favorite nephew, Scott. Did you see any signs in Scott that indicated steroid abuse?
Well, I wasn't really around Scott at the time that he was affected by the steroids, and I had no idea that he was using steroids.
So you didn't see any signs?
No.
You stated, you stated that before going back to school, you were a PE teacher and a track coach, correct?
Yes.
So you, a PE teacher and track coach, could not see steroid abuse signs in somebody.
Well, Scott, I wasn't anywhere near Scott. The only reason I found out he died was by a telephone call. But no, I guess I didn't see any symptoms in him.
Yet you hold Dale Rockford, a PE teacher and coach, to see signs in Jordan.
Well, he interacted with him every day, so yes.
You claim that testing for steroids can serve as a deterrent from taking steroids, correct?
Yes.
Isn't that kind of trying to prove a negative proposition? To put it another way, if I walk down the street snapping my fingers, does that prove that snapping my fingers keeps the tigers from attacking?
Well, snapping your fingers doesn't help with tiger attacks, no.
So is there any proof that steroid testing keeps kids from using steroids?
Well, in the regions that there are implemented tests, for example, the East Coast, where specifically in New Jersey, where the tests were made, there are only, I do believe it's 3.2% where males have tried anabolic steroids, whereas in Wyoming, 11.7, something along those lines, have tried.
So are you or are you not trying to prove a negative proposition?
I suppose.
Okay, so you stand to make $10,000 from this case, correct?
That's my standard fee, yes.
And you're donating half of it to the Scott Johnson Foundation.
Objection, Your Honor. What's the relevancy of this question?
Your
I'll get to
response.
it. It's a series of questions that will lead up to a main point.
I'm going to let her go ahead. I think it bears on the witness's bias. That's the reason it would be admitted.
Thank you.
So, even if you donate half of your $10,000 fee to the Scott Johnson Foundation, which is of course tax deductible, you still stand to make $5,000, correct?
Yes.
Isn't that a rather profitable way of standing on your soapbox?
Is that a question? I don't understand.
Moving on. Finally, is there any way that your personal interest could lead to personal bias in your testimony?
No.
So you're just doing this for the money?
I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do.
Because you believe this side is right?
Because I know this is fact. Because it is my professional opinion that Dale Rockford and Carter County High School are responsible for the death of Jordan Anderson.
Do you have any? Never mind. No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Hettinger. Any redirect, Mr. Adams?
No, Your Honor.
Very well. Thank you. I guess it's Dr. Garcia. You may step down. Plaintiff's next witness, please.
The plaintiffs call Cody Simpson to the stand, please.
Mr. Simpson. You're already under oath. Please send to the witness stand to my right. Ms. Doherty, when you're ready.
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
My name is Cody Simpson.
How old are you, Mr. Simpson?
I'm 18 years old.
Are you in college right now?
Yes, I am.
What college are you at?
Central Wyoming College.
Are you involved in any activities?
I'm on the track team.
How did you start running track?
I started running track when my PE teacher recommended me for the team. He seemed to think that I had some talent in running.
Did you know Jordan Anderson?
Yes, I did.
How did you know him?
He was my best friend.
How did you meet Jordan?
Me and Jordan both tried out for the 100-meter dash in track.
Did you and Jordan ever hang out?
Yes, we did. We'd hang out quite often.
How did you hang out? Like, what did you do?
Well, every day after school, we would talk at my locker, and we'd go to each other's houses, pretty much the normal stuff.
And you said you tried out for the 100-meter dash with Jordan, correct?
Yes, I did.
Did both of you make it?
Yes, we did.
Switching gears a little bit, did Coach Rockford ever give the track team any information about drugs or steroids?
Objection, leading the witness.
I am not leading. I was just simply asking if Coach Rockford ever gave the team any information about them.
I don't think it was unduly suggestive so as to be leading, so I'll overrule the objection. You may answer the question.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Did Coach Rockford ever give the track team any information about drugs or steroids?
Yes, he did.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness for the purpose of introducing a couple exhibits.
Granted.
Which exhibits? Okay. Mr. Simpson, can we look at Exhibit 1 real quick? Have you ever seen this document before?
Not this one in specific, but
But
one
have
like
you-
it.
Yes. What is this document?
The Wyoming High School Interscholastic Association form.
And is this what coaches are supposed to hand out to the students?
Yes, I believe so.
And did the track team receive this from Coach Rockford?
Yes,
Were all of the students required to read it?
Objection, leading the witness.
Once again, I am just simply asking if the students were supposed to read it rather than telling him what is supposed to be the right answer.
I agree. I'll overrule the objection. You may answer the question, sir.
what was the question? Sorry.
Were you students required to read this
Yes,
and sign it?
yes, we were.
Did you have to return it to the coaches?
Yes, we did.
If it was not returned, were you allowed to compete in track meets?
No, we were not.
Your Honor, I move to admit this exhibit into evidence.
Any objection? Very well. Exhibit 1 is received without objection.
Do you recall if Jordan was at the first practice?
Yes, he was.
And did he receive this?
As far as I am aware. We were all handed one, so I can only assume.
Do you see where it says Jordan's name on it?
Yes, I do.
Is there a signature there?
No, there's not.
Does that show that Jordan did not sign this?
I suppose it does.
You may put that aside for now. Did you ever see any information about drug use in Coach Rockford's office?
No.
How about in the locker room?
No.
Now, Mr. Simpson, if you would mind picking up Exhibit 8 real quick. Have you seen this before?
Yes, I have.
What is it?
It's our times tables for our running speeds.
Where was it posted?
It's always posted in the locker room so that we can all see it.
Who posted this?
Coach Rockford always did.
Your Honor, I move to admit this exhibit into evidence.
Any objection to Exhibit 8?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit 8 is received without objection.
Mr. Simpson, how was your performance in track?
My performance has always been pretty good. I'm very proud of it.
And how about Jordan's performance, specifically during junior and senior year?
His times were almost always better than mine, except for in the junior year when they were almost even.
Looking at Exhibit 8, what was Jordan's fastest time in junior year?
In junior year, 12.21 seconds. It's still good, but it's not compared to some of his other times of previous years.
And what was his time in senior year?
Well, in senior year, his times was 11.5, which is a practically miraculous improvement.
Does it seem like the biggest jump of time throughout his high school career?
Yeah, as far as I can tell. I never really understood why until he died.
Let me put that aside. When Jordan's times started slowing down, did Coach Rockford ever discuss them with Jordan?
Yes, he did.
Do you remember anything that Coach Rockford said to Jordan?
I believe there's...
Hearsay?
It is not hearsay because under Rule 801D2, it is admission by a party opponent, and Dale Rockford is our party opponent.
I agree. Overruled. You may answer the question.
Do you remember anything that Coach Rockford said to Jordan?
Yes, I do. And one time in the locker room, I was just leaving as I heard Coach Rockford yelling at Jordan. He was saying something like, "You can forget about that scholarships unless you can get your times up." He turned to me and said, "The same goes for you."
And skipping ahead just a little bit, when did you realize that Jordan was taking steroids?
Pretty late in senior year.
Did you talk to anyone about it?
I talked to Coach Rockford about it.
What did he say?
He said unless I had seen Jordan take the steroids, or seen the steroids, or asked Jordan about the steroids, he couldn't do anything.
And did you think to talk to anyone else about it?
No, I trusted Rockford. I figured he'd do what's best.
And one final question. Do you regret not talking to anyone else about it?
Yes, I do.
No further
From
questions.
the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Ms.
No, he didn't.
So he could have very well been referring to healthy and legal supplements.
I suppose he could have, but that's not what it sounded like to me.
But he had always preached the negative effects of steroids, correct?
I don't remember.
In class, he handed out anti-steroid pamphlets, correct?
I guess he did.
Okay. Are steroids drugs?
I suppose so.
And do you remember what your coach told you about your strict drug policy?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
He said they have a zero tolerance policy. He also said basically don't do drugs.
Did he say that you'd be kicked off the team if you did them?
He said there are a series of punishments for people who did them.
Okay, and so steroids would fall under the no drug policy, right?
I suppose they would.
What did you think at the time when Jordan said he needed to get juice?
We went on juice diets quite a lot. I mean, they're very healthy and they will improve your time, so I figured that's what he meant.
Okay. So if somebody's best friend doesn't suspect them of steroid abuse, what makes you think their coach would?
Well, it's the coach's job, for one, and he has a lot more experience in these matters than I do, or I think any of the track team does.
But he did give you information on steroid abuse and the symptoms, correct?
Briefly.
When you began to wonder, did you talk to Jordan about his steroid use?
No, I didn't.
Did you talk to Jordan's mother?
I didn't see the need to.
Did Coach ever tell you to use steroids?
Not
No.
really.
And referring back to Exhibit 8, can you explain to me what happened to you and Jordan's time between your junior and senior year?
Well, Jordan's times improved significantly, and mine's improved slightly.
Slightly, over a tenth of a second in a sprint. That's pretty impressive, wouldn't you agree?
I'd like to think so.
It's very impressive. So what makes you think that, so why should Coach be expected to suspect Jordan of steroid abuse if you had incredible increases as well in your times? I mean, decreases.
Well, for instance, his times increased by almost a second, which is almost a miracle.
You said yours was very impressive as well. Wouldn't you have been suspected of steroid abuse under that same logic?
I didn't say mine was very impressive. Really wasn't that much in comparison.
Tenth of a second in a sprint. Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Gray. Any further questions from the plaintiff?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, and thank you. And you may step down, sir. Does the plaintiff have any further witnesses?
The plaintiff's rest, Your Honor.
Very well. Will the defense please call its first witness?
You're okay. Respondent calls Jamie Hagar to the stand.
Very well. Ms. Hagar, you've been sworn, and so you may take the witness stand. Ms. Ettinger?
Please state your name and occupation for the record, please.
My name is Jamie Haggard, and I'm the assistant principal and the athletic director at Carter County High School.
Tell us about your education,
I have my master's and doctor's in education.
and please tell us about your job history.
I was a PE teacher and a basketball coach.
Please explain the zero tolerance policy of Carter County High School.
Excuse me. The zero tolerance policy is, as Lynn Garcia explained, is when a student is accused of illegal substances, they are investigated per se, and if found guilty, they go, in the first offense, they are suspended from the next competition, but they are allowed to practice still to stay in shape. Their parents are called no matter what, and if it's illegal substances such as like marijuana, etc., the police are called.
Have there been any student violations of the policy?
In the 12 years I've worked there have been 20.
Which sports were they in?
All except for track.
And have any coaches violated this policy?
No.
Have you, as the athletic director, followed the policy?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Who have the violators been turned in by?
Most of them have been by a coach or a teammate.
Please explain the parent pool to us.
The parent pool is basically an incentive for the coaches to get scouts to come in to view the athletes. It's also, it benefits the coaches if they're at the entire sport as well.
So Coach Rockford stood to gain from keeping his players healthy and on the field.
Correct.
Not dead.
Yes.
What is your opinion of Coach Dale Rockford?
I find him as a great coach. I've only gotten 3 complaints from him, and they were all from parents who just didn't understand that sports isn't all just high fives and smiles. There is some constructive criticism.
And do you think that according to the standards set by WISA, that Coach Rockford did everything in his ability to prevent Jordan's steroid abuse?
Yes, he followed the policy.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Ettinger. Cross-examination, Ms. Marston.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hager.
Me too.
teachers are paid more than most, is that correct?
Correct.
And the teachers who also take on coaching are paid even more. And coaches have the parent pool on top of their regular salary, is that correct?
Yeah, it's like a bonus.
You are the athletic director, so you are up to date on everyone's parent pool additions to their salary, is that correct?
Yes.
So it wouldn't surprise you that 2 years ago, Dale Rockford got an extra $14,000 on his parent pool salary, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And, oh, that was 3 years ago, I'm sorry. 2 years ago was $22,000. Does that surprise you?
Yes, it went up with, because he had more times, as you could see on Exhibit 8. There were more in like the,
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Okay. But your school doesn't do random drug testing, does it?
No.
Because it's too expensive.
Well, not only that, but it's also inaccurate.
Okay. Well, let me give you a hypothetical. If your school, hold on, let me get some facts out. Your school has about approximately 2,000 students, correct?
Approximately, yes.
And about 250 are athletes, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if one drug test is about $100, and you're going to do random drug testing for about a year for each student, that would be about $25,000, correct?
Yes.
That's only $3,000 more than Dale Rockford made just off the parent pool 2 years ago, correct?
Yes, but we'd be wasting the money.
Just yes or no? Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Back to your coaches. They're also required to go to classes each summer, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Dale Rockford was the finalist for Teacher Coach of the Year 2 years in a row, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
So this requires a lot of time with the kids on and off the field, is that correct?
Yeah, I suppose so.
To become Teacher Coach of the Year, the students have to... So only a fraction of the 250 kids that are athletes do track, is that correct?
Approximately, I suppose.
So he'd be spending a lot of time with these track kids, and only a fraction of that 250 do track.
I guess, yeah.
So that's a lot of time with these kids.
Only a few hours.
Well, a few hours each week, isn't that correct?
Yes.
So you'd get to know them pretty well, right?
I suppose so.
Permission to approach the witness.
Permission granted.
When a student prints out a paper at your high school, you get a roster, correct?
Yeah, we have the printer policy.
Okay. This is Exhibit 10, and this shows Jordan's name because he printed off some documents. Is that correct?
Correct.
These documents are Exhibits 11 and 15. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Can you pull out those exhibits, please?
Maybe. I don't think I have 11.
Oh, it's okay. Just pull out 15.
Okay, I have 15.
You were concerned because it has some information on steroids. Is that correct?
Correct.
So on the morning of April 12th, 2012, you approached Dale Rockford, correct?
Yes, I handed them to him.
And you asked him to talk to Jordan to make sure everything's okay, correct?
Yeah, I asked him to look over them and talk to Jordan if he thought necessary.
Okay. And then on the morning of May 6, 2012, Jordan died of a steroid overdose, correct?
Yes, of a heart attack.
Between April 12th and May 6th, that's 24 days. That's 3 weeks and 3 days. And you never heard back from Dale Rockford, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't check up on that? Yes or no?
No, I don't believe so, no.
Nothing further.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Marston. Redirect, yes, ma'am. Ms. Hettinger?
The money that the plaintiff stated would cover all of the testing, that was donated by the parent pool.
Yes.
So, if she wants the parents to donate the money, can't they just test their children themselves?
Yes.
Objection leading.
I mean,
It is a little leading. You can rephrase.
what other ways can the tests be paid for?
The parents could pay for them.
Would you say students spend more time at school or at home?
At home.
With their families?
Yes.
So it would make sense for Kelly Anderson to notice her son's symptoms more than it would make sense for Dale Rockford to notice them.
Objection speculation.
Objection, she's her parent.
Well, I think it
excuse
d-
me?
does, I don't really think that's a proper response.
Sorry.
And I'm going to sustain the objection. It does call for speculation.
The paper that was printed out by Jordan, you gave it to Coach Rockford, correct?
Correct.
And are there any other ways that a paper about steroids could be used?
Research projects, English projects, PE projects.
So the paper didn't necessarily mean
Insinuate-
anything?
Yeah, it didn't necessarily mean he was using steroids.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Hettinger. Any recross?
No, Your Honor.
Very well. Thank you. You may step down. Defense's next witness, please.
Defense calls Ryan Brady to the stand.
Very well. Ms. Brady, you've already received the oath, so please take the witness stand. Ms. Lavering, whenever you're ready.
State your name and occupation for the record, please.
Ryan Brady, Assistant Principal in charge of Athletics and Discipline at Rock River High School.
Tell us about your background.
I earned my Bachelor's of Exercise Science in 1985 from the University of Wyoming. I then began teaching at Rock River High School. While teaching at Rock River High School, I continued my education, earning my Master's of Sports Management in 1991. Then I became the soccer coach, and further teachings, led me to be promoted to the assistant principal.
Okay, thank you. What are your views on steroid problems in American high schools?
I think they're largely exaggerated. I mean, people in high schools are more likely, or not exactly more likely, but they have the same chances of catching Ebola as they have of dying from steroids.
So the vast majority do not use steroids, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Only about 11.2% of boys and 5.7% of girls use steroids in the average high school.
In your professional opinion, should high school students be tested for steroids?
No, it's far too cost prohibitive.
Do any high schools test for drugs?
Yes, about 13% of high schools test for drugs.
Of those schools, how many do test for steroids?
Of that 13% of high schools that test for drugs, about 29% test for steroids.
Your Honor, I would like to approach the witness, and I'm going to enter Exhibit 13.
You may approach the witness.
Excuse me, Your Honor, I have not seen what the counsel is trying to show the witness.
May I please show it to opposing counsel, Ms. Lavering?
Thank you.
Could you tell us about this article?
Yes, this is the Education Week article back in 2011. And in this article, it talks about how Florida tested $100,000 on 600 students, and there was only one steroid a student found out of all the athletes at their schools. And in New Jersey, after no, that's not New Jersey, is it? Okay, I think it is New Jersey. In New Jersey, after spending $400,000 on 2,000 students, only one Excuse me, Your steroid user was Honor, found. the exhibit has not been admitted into evidence yet.
That is true, and the witness, it should, if the witness is just going to read it, it should be received.
Okay. Can we enter the exhibit, Your Honor?
I'll consider that to be an offer. Any objection to Exhibit 13?
Hearsay, Your Honor.
And your response to that, Ms. Lavering?
Nope.
You don't have a response?
Withdrawn.
Very well.
Okay. Okay, you can put that aside. In your opinion, were Carter County High School and Coach Rockford doing what they had to do?
Yes, they were.
Do you believe that either the coach or the school had any reason to suspect Jordan Anderson was using steroids?
No, I do not believe so.
No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Lavering. Cross-examination, Ms. Doherty.
Miss Brady, as a side job, you're a consultant, correct?
Yes.
You're an athletic consultant?
Yes, for students at my high school.
And in order to be a successful consultant, you read a lot of articles and reports, correct?
Yes, I do, like the one that was previously shown.
And Carter County High School is paying you in this case, correct?
Yes, $5,000.
And you still have student loans?
Yes, I believe so.
Is that the main reason you're a consultant?
No, it is not. My fee is even discounted.
Your articles have never been peer-reviewed, have they?
No, they have not.
And technically, you have never written any articles to be peer-reviewed, correct?
No, I don't believe so.
You haven't done any peer reviews yourself on steroid use, correct?
I don't think so, not on steroid use.
You don't have a bachelor's in physical education and health, do you?
I have my bachelor's in exercise science, not physical education.
So that would be a no, correct?
Yes.
And you also don't have a master's of science in exercise physiology, do you?
No, I do not.
Switching gears a little bit, you're part of the Wyoming High School Interscholastic Association, correct?
Yes.
The Interscholastic Association has strong rules and regulations against steroid use, correct?
Yes, they do.
But their bylaws don't state anything specific about drug use by students, do they?
No, not drug use.
They
But
don't
they mostly
state,
talk about steroids.
but it's not completely specific, is it?
No, it's not.
The local school boards can create their own regulations concerning drug use, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
And all athletic coaches are supposed to give out a copy of the association's position statement, correct?
Yes, they are.
And do you believe that Carter County High School has followed its policies against drug and steroid use?
That's not for me to say. I don't work at Carter County High School.
My question is, do you believe?
That would
They
be a
have.
personal bias. Those aren't allowed in court.
Moving on. If you would mind picking up Exhibit 1 real quick, please.
Exhibit 1? All right.
You've seen a document similar to this, correct?
I believe so, in the past.
This is a copy of the Wyoming High School Interscholastic Association position statement, correct?
Yes.
All athletes receive this at the beginning of a season, correct?
Yes, they do.
They are required to sign this statement, correct?
Yes.
They are also required to return it to their coaches signed, correct?
Yes, they are.
Could you show this to the jury, please? And you see where it says Jordan Anderson, correct? And the line right above it, correct?
Yes.
There is no signature on it, is there?
No, there's not.
You don't believe that the position statement helps prevent steroid use, does it?
I believe it does. but it depends on the students who sign it. But this was not my duty to get it signed. Coach Rockford has his reasons.
Objection, relevance. This has nothing to do with her.
Your response, Ms. Doherty?
See, I am having this as a question prior to one saying that she actually wants to change some things with the position statement.
Well, I thought this had to do with Exhibit 1, but I'm going to overrule the objection. Unfortunately, I think the objection came in mid-question, so I'm not sure where you are at this point. You may have to ask another question.
And even though you believe that the position statement helps prevent steroid use, you want to change or add things, correct?
It could be further edited.
So that would be a yes?
Yes.
As a part of the Interscholastic Association, you believe that education is key, correct?
Yes, I do.
Parents should be educated on how to monitor their children, correct?
That is not for me to decide. Parents have their own reasons to not know their children, so...
But you believe that parents should know how to monitor their children, correct?
That's another personal bias. I can't give my opinion in court.
Parents should also be educated on the signs of steroid use, correct?
That's still a personal bias, but
No, it's
I
not.
guess they should.
And you don't believe that Carter County has actually educated their parents enough, correct?
I believe that they have done as much as they could to educate the parents, but some just won't listen.
Supposedly, Carter County High School is in compliance with the position statement, correct?
Yes, they are.
And supposedly, Dale Rockford is also in compliance with that statement?
I believe so.
And jumping back to what you said in your direct, you said that it's as easy to contract Ebola as it is to die of steroid use, correct?
Not as easy, but they are in comparison. It's as likely.
And you know the statistics for steroid use, correct?
The statistics, yes, I stated them in my direct.
And you have no clue what Ebola statistics are, correct?
I'm not a doctor, so I shouldn't, but I have seen percentages before.
But you don't know the exact percentages, do you?
Not from my memory.
No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Doherty. Redirect examination, Ms. Lavering?
Yes, Your Honor. Is the coach responsible for setting the policy in these matters?
No, he's responsible for following the policy that is given to him.
So should he be held accountable if the compliance is not strict enough?
No, he shouldn't.
Okay, no further questions.
Any recross, Ms. Doherty?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Brady, you have been called to court for your expert opinion, correct?
Correct.
And you did not answer any of my questions that called for your expert opinion, correct?
Objection
did
outside
answer.
the scope.
And your response about the scope?
No response, Your Honor.
All right. I'll sustain the objection then. Thank you, Ms. Doherty. And thank you, Ms. Brady. You may step down, or Dr. Brady, I guess it is. Defense's next witness, please.
Your Honor, we call Dale Rockford to the stand.
Very well. Mr. Rockford, you're under oath. Please proceed to the witness stand. Ms. Gray?
State your name and occupation for the record, please.
Dale Rockford, head PE teacher, head track coach, and health teacher.
How long have you been a coach?
I've been lucky enough to coach for 15 years now.
15 years. That's a long time. What are your experiences in coaching?
I've been a head track coach and a head basketball coach.
What are your experiences in teaching?
I've been a PE teacher and a health teacher for 27 years now.
Were you an athlete in high school and college?
Yeah, I ran track in high school and was lucky enough to get a scholarship.
Can you explain to me your successes in both high school and college?
Objection, Your Honor. This calls for a narrative answer.
Well, your response?
I'm trying to give him his experience, then to link it to his steroid use, his lack of steroid use.
I'll overrule the objection. If it gets too long, you can object again, Mr. Adams. Please answer the question.
I ran track and ran in college and almost made the Olympic team.
That's a lot of success, wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
And did you do this with steroids?
No, I've never touched steroids. Many of my teammates did, though.
So you almost made the Olympics without steroid use?
Yes.
Were you under a lot of pressure on these teams at the higher levels, such as almost making the Olympic team?
Yes, it takes motivation and pressure in order for you to get the best out of yourself.
So empirically, in your experience, there have been no link between pressure and steroid use?
I have never been pressured to use steroids because my coaches wanted me to do well, no.
And as a coach, do you ever talk to your athletes about healthy, performance-enhancing drugs?
I always stressed how important good nutrition was, as well as vitamins, and denounced drugs.
So you focused on the healthy ones?
Yes, of course.
Have you ever had one of your athletes ask you about where to or how to get drugs or steroids?
Objection. This is a compound question.
Your response?
I'll rephrase. Have you ever had a student ask you where or how to get steroids?
Yes.
Objection. This is still a compound question. She didn't rephrase the question at all.
Overruled. I think it was all right. And the answer's been, he has answered.
Yes.
Okay. What was your response?
I told him that no one on my team needed to do drugs and that it was means to get kicked off the team.
So tell me about your relationship with Jordan in a short manner.
I met him when he was in junior high and was very excited that he was coming to CCHS. I was his PE teacher and track coach.
Did you notice any changes with Jordan during the last track season?
He seemed to have mood swings, and sometimes he would have to stop practicing because he seemed kind of yellow.
Were the
Little
mood
jaundiced.
swings steroid specific?
Not that I could determine, no.
Are mood swings typical in your profession with high school students?
Yes.
Is jaundice always caused by steroid use?
No, it's a symptom of liver damage, so it can be caused by a variety of things.
Did you ever see tracks on Jordan's arms?
No, of course not.
Did you see any signs of steroid abuse?
Not steroid abuse specifically, no.
Did you push all of your students equally?
Yes, I wanted all of my students to do the best that they could.
Did they get into steroids?
Not that I know of, no.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Gray. Cross-examination, Mr. Adams.
What time do we have left? You have a student by the name of Kia Hummel, correct?
Yes.
And Kia once approached you on how to get Oxandrin, didn't she?
Yes, she did. I believe she did.
She asked you this question in front of the entire team?
Yes.
And you told her that anyone could get steroids today, correct?
I told her that you could get steroids from almost any gym rat or the internet because I don't think it would be effective to tell them to lie to a student that you couldn't get steroids.
Well, you told her that anyone could get steroids, didn't you?
I said that anyone could get steroids from a gym rat or on the internet, yes.
And from doctors?
If they're prescribed them, yes.
All right. You met Jordan while he was in middle school, didn't you?
Yes, I saw him at a track gym day.
And you thought his performance was incredible for a middle schooler?
Yeah, I thought he had a lot of potential and was excited when he decided to come to CCHS High School.
And this is what caused you to recruit Jordan to CCHS, isn't it?
Yes, I thought he would make a good member of the team.
You were his coach all the way through his athletic career, weren't you?
All the way through his high school career, yes.
Including his senior year?
Yes.
You knew Jordan had a lot of responsibilities at home, though, didn't you?
I wasn't aware of them specifically, but I knew of them, yes.
You met Kelly Anderson before this trial, correct?
Yes, she's Jordan Anderson's mother.
In fact, she's sitting right there today?
Yes.
Thank you. She attended lots of track meets, didn't she?
Yes.
And you attend all these track meets, don't you?
Of course, I'm the coach.
Did Jordan attend all these track meets?
Most of them, unless he was out for some reason, yes.
You attend all the track practices, don't you?
Yes, unless I'm out for some reason.
And do you expect your athletes to attend these practices?
Yes.
Jordan didn't attend all these practices, did he?
If a student is excused from school, then there's nothing I can do about it in terms of his availability in practice.
Was Jordan excused from school?
To my knowledge, yes.
Jordan was sick a lot during his senior year, wasn't he?
Yes.
And he missed practice due to his illness?
He missed practice some, yes.
Due to his illness?
I wouldn't know. I wasn't at home telling him not to go to practice.
You said he was excused. You know that this was due to illness?
I don't know what it was due to specifically on each day, no.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Manny, you was marked Exhibit 8. These are the track times that you posted out in the locker room, aren't they?
Yes.
And they're cataloged by year, aren't they?
Yes.
And these are the times of individual bests for the 100-meter, aren't they?
Yes, per year, yes.
Your Honor, I would like to move for the admission of Exhibit 8.
I think you're too late. Those are already in evidence, so.
Okay.
According to my charts, they were offered. I forget who offered them, but they've been received.
All right. Jordan's time his freshman year was 12.34 seconds, wasn't it?
12, yes.
And in his junior year, his time was 12.21 seconds?
Yes.
And his senior year, his time decreased to 11.5 seconds, didn't it?
Yes.
It decreased 7 whole tenths of a second in 1 year?
Yes.
Did you find this unusual in any way?
I was amazingly proud of him, of course. He was my athlete, and he was doing very well.
You noticed jaundice in Jordan, didn't you?
Yes.
And you noticed his mood swings?
Yes.
Did you notice his acne?
I might have seen it at a glance, but I didn't take note of it, no.
You thought your athletes couldn't afford steroids, didn't you?
No. I never questioned my athlete's economic capabilities.
Do you recall the testimony from Ms. Anderson about a day in mid-April when she came into one of your track practices?
Yes.
You remember this incident, don't you?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson was yelling at Jordan, wasn't she?
Yes.
And she was waving a paper around?
Yes.
This paper was Jordan's withdrawal slip, wasn't it?
To my knowledge, yes.
All right. Switching gears a little bit, Assistant Principal Hager approached you with a couple articles that Jordan had printed out on the computer, didn't he?
She approached me with a article, yes.
And on that day, you were in a hurry track practice, weren't you?
Yes, I was running back to my office, I believe.
And Hager handed you Exhibits 10, 11, and 15?
I believe so, yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
No, it has. It's right here. Yes.
10 has not been received.
Oh, it's over here.
Can you explain to us a little bit about what Exhibit 10 is?
It's a summary of the pages that Jordan Anderson printed out on Monday, April 11th. There were 2 documents and 4 pages.
Your Honor, I would like to move for the admission of Exhibit 10.
Any objection? Ms. Gray?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit 10 is received.
And Hager told you that the articles were about Oxandra, didn't she?
Yes, I also glanced down at them and saw that, yes.
And you put them on your desk?
Yes.
This date, did you ever have a chance to talk to Jordan about these articles?
No, I didn't
But
feel it was necessary.
Hager explicitly told you to talk to Jordan about them, didn't she?
She gave me the articles and said that I should read them and talk to Jordan about it.
But you never talked to him.
After looking at them, I didn't feel it was necessary.
The date on Exhibit 10 is Monday, April 11th, 2000, correct?
Yes.
And Jordan died on May 6th, correct?
I believe so, yes.
This is 24 days, isn't it?
Yes.
And in 24 days, you were unable to talk to Jordan about these articles?
Yes, I wasn't counting down the days, but no, I wasn't.
Even though you had received explicit order to talk to Jordan about them?
Jamie Hagar had told me. She didn't give me a military command or anything.
No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Redirect, Ms. Gray?
Yes, Your Honor. Why did you tell your students about where to get steroids?
Well, as I noted, it's to tell them that they couldn't get steroids, or that the places that I mentioned weren't places that you could get steroids, would have been lying and misleading, and that's not the job or the responsibility of a coach.
Are students who already know about drugs less likely to try drugs? Isn't that the whole motivation behind this steroid, education?
Yes, if you are educated on the effects of steroids, you will likely be less likely to do it. Them.
And if you're aware of every aspect of steroids, you're less likely to do them as well?
Objection, this is speculation.
It's the movement behind the reason they teach about steroids in schools.
But Mr. Rockford has no steroid use as he's proclaimed, and he doesn't know the
I'm a PE teacher,
He teaches them.
I'll overrule the objection. I think it's within his field. You may answer the question if you remember it.
Please restate the question.
So if a student is aware of all aspects of a drug, they're less likely to use the drug, correct?
Because of knowing the harms and effects of the drug, yes.
Okay. Are most illnesses linked to steroid use?
No, there are thousands of illnesses and symptoms not related to it.
So when an athlete misses your practice because of an illness, is that why you don't automatically suspect they're on steroids?
No, in my 15 years, I would have accused many people of steroids if that was the case.
Going back to Exhibit 8, can you tell me what happened with all of the juniors in Jordan's class times from their junior into their senior year?
All the times from 2010 to 2011?
Yes. Did they increase?
There was a steady improvement among all members, yes.
So Jordan's improvement wasn't unique. Everyone in his class improved.
Yes, often athletes improve from year to year.
Was Jordan's the only improvement that was miraculous?
At the time, I wouldn't have called it an exception to the rule. I think that people from junior to senior year often become much better or show the capability to go to the next level.
Is it abnormal for students to print out articles about drugs in school for possibly further classes?
I don't work in the fields that do, but in my health class, people have reason to print out articles about steroids, yes.
Okay. No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Gray. Any recross, Mr. Adams?
How much time do I have left? Yeah, I would like to recross, thank you. Mr. Rockford, did you ever follow through on what the illness was that, why Jordan was missing so many practices?
I am not in charge of any of my athletes' health that's not interfering with their performance.
You're not in charge of your athlete's health, but you also dictate good supplements and things like this?
I am in charge of their health related to track. Jordan Anderson his times didn't fall and he didn't miss meets, so it wasn't in my jurisdiction, no.
But he missed practice?
He missed practice at times,
And
like
this-
all athletes do, yes.
And this was because of his health?
I assume so, yes.
And you expect all your athletes to attend practices, you said?
I expect my athletes to attend practice so they can improve, yes.
But this isn't in your realm of jurisdiction.
Objection outside the scope.
I don't recall this being in the redirect. I'll let the witness answer this one question.
May I respond?
You may.
She was speaking of illness and why illness wasn't followed up on by Mr. Rockford.
All right, overruled.
Thank you.
Can you restate the question, please?
The question was, but this isn't in your, the sickness that he displayed isn't in your you didn't follow up on it because it's not in your realm of jurisdiction.
I was not told that he had any specific illness. There was a kid missing school.
All right, can I direct your attention to Exhibit 8 again?
Yes.
Do you see a name of Rules Angel in the year 2010? Top of the column.
Yes.
And her time is 11.68 seconds, isn't it?
Yes.
In
What
2009.
what year are you speaking of?
2010. 2009, 2010.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Her time in 2008 to 2009 was 11.9 seconds, wasn't it?
Yes.
2.2 seconds, isn't that correct?
Yes.
And she was a senior? That was her junior to senior progression?
Yes.
No further questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Adams.
Can I preface that with, I said so.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Does the defense have any other witnesses?
The defense rests.
Very well. There is no rebuttal case in this exercise, so I will declare the evidence closed. And if this was a real jury trial, I would read the instructions to the jury, but that's not part of the exercise either. We are now ready at this time for closing arguments, beginning with the plaintiff.
May I have a moment to collect exhibits?
You may.
Thank you. May it please the court?
Mr. Adams.
Counsel? We are here today because of the tragic death of Jordan Anderson. His life was taken, and he was taken from his mother at an incredibly young age, and which the cause should have been foreseen, but wasn't. Dale Rockford is negligent for not monitoring Jordan and the signs of his abuse, and failing to educate him on the abuse of steroids. When there's smoke, there's fire. Something has to be the cause of the smoke. Dale Rockford had it surrounding him completely. There was so much information that he should have found, and yet he never went to find the fire. And in this case, the fire blazed out of control. We have Cody's testimony. He got to know Jordan right off the bat. They were best friends, and they went through their track careers together. One day in the locker room, Cody testifies that in the locker room, Coach was yelling at him and Jordan to get their times up and that they would need nutritious supplements to boost their performances to the next level. Unfortunately, we know now that Dale Rockford wasn't talking about nutritious supplements. He was talking about the use of steroids. Before a banquet, Cody was approached about how he needed to increase his times or else he could kiss his scholarship goodbye. As our plaintiffs, we can assume that Dale Rockford had the same conversation with Jordan and of the like. One day in mid-April, Kelly approached Jordan in the gym at track practice. She was screaming at Jordan about a paper that she had. She was waving it in the air, and that paper has turned out to be the withdrawal slips that Jordan has. Dale Rockford testified that he knew that this was the withdrawal slips, and that Jordan had withdrawn over $25,000 from an account. He said that he didn't believe that any of his students could have the financial means to afford steroids, but clearly they did. Dale Rockford also missed very important signs that Jordan also exhibited. There was 1, jaundice, 2, skin infections, 3, general illness of missing practice and missing school. He didn't educate the students. When he was told to sign this exhibit, Exhibit 1, with Jordan's signature, there's no signature there. That's a failure to educate Jordan, and Jordan should have known what the school's policy was. he didn't, again, Dale Rockford also noticed that Jordan's times increased significantly from his junior to senior year. From his sophomore to junior year, his times actually worsened. He became a worse runner than he was his other years. But when senior year came along, his times increased by 0.7 seconds. That's incredible and miraculous for a student in high school, and he should have at least questioned why he was getting so good. He was missing practice. He shouldn't have had an increase that well. Cody came up to Dale Rockford and told him that he believed his best friend was doing steroids. Dale Rockford said he would handle it, and he never did. Hagar then approached Dale with articles that Jordan printed out. We saw them, they were exhibits 10, 11, and 15. The date on exhibit 10 is April 11th, 2012. This is 24 days before Rockford could have talked to Jordan before he died, and he'd never talked to Jordan about this. He claims it was because he didn't feel it was necessary, even though he had been given a direct order from Jamie Hagar, his superior, and as we all know today, it would have been very necessary. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Dale Rockford lit this fire by persuading Jordan with pressure and with scholarships in front of his face that just started to flame. As soon as the flame was lit, there was smoke everywhere, but Dale Rockford turned his back. He should have looked for the fire, and he never did. Now, when the jury goes back into the verdict room, I would like you to take a look at this form. It's the jury instructions for this case. And question 1 says, was Dale Rockford negligent? I implore you to say yes. He missed all the signs, and he could have prevented Jordan's death. Question 2, was the negligence of Dale Rockford's death, was the negligence of Dale Rockford a cause of the death of Jordan Anderson? Yes again. Was Carter County School District 1 negligent? Yes. Through the operation of their employee and his negligence and their insufficient policies, they were also negligent. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Defense closing, please.
Yes,
Ms. Gray.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, now you have heard the tragic story and seen the evidence. The death of Jordan Anderson is a tragedy, but let us not compound this tragedy by ruining more careers, more lives. The plaintiff tells you that the pressure put on young Jordan was too much. This may be true, but who applied that pressure? Many people applied that pressure first, yes. We will admit that Coach Rockford applied pressure to Jordan to be his best. That's the coach's job. Any good coach will push pressure and motivate his athletes. Any coach who does not apply pressure will soon be an ex-coach. But Coach Rockford never told Jordan or any one of his students to ever take steroids. In fact, just the opposite is true. Jordan knew the school's policy on steroids and knew the dangers of steroids, yet chose to do them anyways. Coach Rockford is mourning the loss of Jordan too. Jordan and Coach Rockford were very close over their 4 years of working together. Kelly Anderson also applied pressure. Kelly Anderson desperately wanted Jordan to be able to go to college, but knew the money simply wasn't there. This led Anderson to push pressure and motivate Jordan to be his best to be able to qualify for a track scholarship. Unfortunately, Kelly Anderson wasn't there. She wasn't there to train with Jordan, wasn't there to talk to Jordan, not there to notice the symptoms and take action as any parent should. This is understandable. Dr. Abraham Maslow points out in his famous Maslow's hierarchy of needs that survival is the most important need. Kelly Anderson had to pay the rent, put groceries in the refrigerator, and pay the utility bill. It is completely understandable that she was not there 24 hours of the day for Jordan. But what is not acceptable is Kelly Anderson trying to blame the coach and the school for Jordan's death. We can understand why Kelly Anderson is making these accusations. The loss of a child is traumatic. But that doesn't make the blame true. We can understand why Jordan's friend Cody blames the coach. Cody is a distraught teen who lost a friend and wants anyone to tell him why. But once again, that does not make the blame true. We can also understand why Dr. Garcia has a crusade against steroid abuse and is now blaming Coach Rockford as well. But once again, that does not make the blame true. Does Dr. Garcia blame herself for her nephew Scott's death? If we need someone to blame, why not blame the manufacturer of the steroids? They manufactured these steroids with the express intent of them being used by athletes despite the dangers inherent in steroid abuse. Why not blame the individual who sold Jordan the steroids? Someone profited from Jordan's death. And while it may be unpopular to say, why not blame Jordan? The evidence shows that he knew the dangers inherent in steroid use, yet chose to take steroids anyways. How can we blame the coach who expressly told Jordan and the rest of the team to not do steroids? How can we blame the coach who handed out anti-steroid pamphlets? How can we blame the coach who required all of his athletes to sign an agreement to not do steroids? I ask you to find for the respondent. I ask you to not compound one tragedy with another. I ask you for justice. Thank you.